Hello, welcome back to another episode of Not the Same, the podcast that brings you true stories of real people sharing their personal testimonies of transformation. As always, I am your host, Rachel Heimberg. I really cannot express how motivating it is to receive feedback from all of you who listen, whether it's letting me know how encouraged you are by a particular testimony or sharing ideas of who you'd like to hear from in the future. Please keep it coming. The best way to do that is through our dedicated podcast email. That email is notthesame.cfm@gmail.com. Please introduce yourself, tell me where you are from, and let me know how this podcast has impacted you, or perhaps even give some constructive criticism. I'm open. If you are just now finding us, awesome. I'm so glad you did, and I hope this will become a new favorite. We are available on all major platforms, so like, subscribe, follow, and please share. Positive reviews are also welcome. Last episode, I was privileged to speak with Lieben Britta, whose powerful testimony left me in awe of God's love for each and every one of us. Today, I have the honor of having a person here that is very close to my heart. After we were announced to come to South Africa in July of 2021, a close friend of mine, whose family had previously been missionaries here, came up to me after the service and said, "There's a girl in your church who was originally saved in ours, and you're going to love her. Her name is Busiswa." So, never having set foot in South Africa before, but trusting my friend's judgment, I was very excited to meet this person. Little did I know how right she was. Busi has become so dear to my heart. We have been in many ministries together, and she is such a blessing to me personally, and along with her husband and 3 beautiful children, continues to be an integral part of our church here in El Dorado Park. And she's also very embarrassed of me saying this stuff about her. So I'm super excited to hear her full testimony today. I've only heard bits and pieces, but I know we're going to have a great time because we always do. So let's get started. Busi, thank you so much. I know that the first time I asked, we couldn't get our schedules going, but I'm excited. And yeah, we can get started. So let's go back to just how you grew up. Tell me a bit of your family history, where you're from. I know you've got a lot of kids in your family. Just start from there and then we'll just chat.
Hi, I'm happy to be here. I've been running away from this. But anyway, both my parents are from the Eastern Cape. So when we came to Joburg, we stayed in an area called Polar Park. When I was about 7, we moved to Greenfields.
What brought you to Joburg? Your
work.
Okay.
Yes. My father was working. My mother was at home, but my father was working. So he came here first to look for a job and a place to stay. And then he went back to fetch my mother and us, just me and my older sister by the time. And then we came to Polar Park. By 7, we moved to Greenfields. It was still shacks by then, and then they built houses as time went on.
Where's Greenfields?
Greenfields is just right next to Eden Park. It's an area like Freedom Park, similar.
Okay, but it's near Eden Park.
Near Eden Park.
Okay.
Yeah, I had both my parents. When we moved to Greenfields, that's where things started shifting and stuff like that, because my father would have jobs, but he wouldn't hold jobs for long. You know, he would have like piece jobs. You know, he would get a good job, he would start missing work and start drinking, and then they would let him go. He would get a good job, he start drinking, like just miss work, and then he would go to work sometimes drunk, then they would have to let him go. Obviously, financially, there was a stress, you know, in the house with many kids and stuff like that. By then, we were like 3. The firstborn had passed on while my parents are still in the homelands. Yeah.
Okay.
So it was just my older sister, myself, and my younger sister.
So in your home growing up, how many total was there?
8.
There was 8.
8 kids.
And then the first had passed away quite young.
Yes. So all the others were behind, you can say, yeah, they were younger.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they were younger. We were a normal family. You could say we're a normal family because we had the mom, we had the dad together. But the thing that really hit, that really stressed our family was alcohol.
Okay.
Because both my parents now at this time, they're both drinking a lot, heavy. Weekend in, weekend out. Weekend in, weekend out. As children, having to go to school, it was not important, you see.
Oh.
No one's there to tell you, you need to go to school. Because even if you do, you have to think, you wake up, you prepare yourself and walk yourself to school. So by the time I used to walk to school from my house, the distance would be, I'm passing like 3 neighborhoods. So that is Eden Park, that is Polar Park, and then 2 Togoza, you see.
Wow.
You know.
So you went to school in Xhosa?
Yes. So we walked to school.
That's a lot.
That's a lot. Like, let's say Southgate would be where.
Like 5, 6
That's how, yeah.
maybe.
I walked long. I have a memory when I was in grade 1. So as usual, I have to wake myself up and go to school. So I fixed myself. I don't know what I did. I put aqua cream in my head. I thought I was doing a proper hairstyle. I'm fixing myself. I'm going to school. I was so late.
Oh.
I was so late. Like there was literally no kids on the road going to school. But I'm not sure I'm getting there, and getting to school. My teacher was so upset. She beat me. She beat me so bad, like she was really upset. Like really upset.
Wow.
Yeah, just.
And what about your older sister?
Yeah. Okay, so my older sister, obviously, she had to make sure she's watching all of us.
How many years between you two?
2.
2 years. Okay.
So it's not that. Yeah, she was trying, especially with my younger sisters.
Okay.
Even my mother, she worked, but she couldn't work for long.
So when she came to Joburg, she started working.
Yes, she had to. When we moved to Greenfields, she had to, because my father was on and off.
So up until age 7, you've had your mom in your house, and now she's not.
Yes, 7 years, and then 2 more years, and then she had to start work.
Okay.
Yeah, 2 more years,
and you had mentioned before, because you said alcohol was such a big thing, you didn't even go to school till late, right?
Yes.
What age do you normally go to school?
7 kids my age were already at school. I was still at home. I started grade 1 when I was 9.
Yeah, so that's basically 2 years behind.
Yes.
So you should be starting grade R about 5.
I didn't even go to crèche.
Yeah.
Like I was just at home.
And you didn't start till 9?
No, till 9. Yeah.
Wow.
So I remember then it was like older in your class, and also you're not at school all the time. You're not as clean as the other kids. Your work is not always up to date. By the time you get home, you're so tired. I'm not doing homeworks. And I get home.
Well, you're walking so far.
Yeah, I'm just throwing those books. I'm going to the streets and I'm just playing. No one's going to remind me, you need to do your homework and stuff like that. So it was only up to high school that I understood that I needed to do my homeworks. It's up to me. I really need to.
But all this whole time, who was it that made you go to school? Like, did your mom finally say, oh, you need to be in school?
Yeah. I remember one of her friends, they would like encourage, school and stuff like that. And I remember when I was doing now grade 3, my older sister dropped out of school. She was in grade 5. She dropped out of school by that time. It was like, it's okay. It's normal.
So your mom was fine?
She never went back to school since that time.
Since grade 5?
Yes, since grade 5. She never went back to school. It was like, you live in an area, if you drop out, it's not a big thing. It's okay. What's the alternative? It's boys and alcohol and substance abuse. Okay, then I was in grade 6 when I decided, okay, I'm going to drop out of school. Then I stayed out of school for months. Then still again.
What was the reason for you to drop out? Was it the pull of your sister, or was it just too tiresome?
Yeah, it tiresome. I was just tired and I just didn't care. I don't know. There's no support anyway. No one's going to encourage you. Like, let me see your work. Okay, my mom, she didn't care. She was like, okay, whatever. My father would try sometimes, like, let me see your schoolwork. That's the only thing he would say. Let me see your schoolwork. How you doing in school? Every once in a while. But most of the time, Mondays come, they're drinking and friends come in and out of the house. You don't get good sleep.
Yeah.
You don't get privacy. You don't get much time, to really focus on you as a family. Then Monday, you have to go to school. You can't go to school because they were sitting there making noise and drinking and stuff like that. You are tired. Yeah, it was that situation.
And so this was just year after year.
This was weekend in, weekend out, 4 years growing up in that situation. If I look back, I was one of those kids where they just had to push me to the next grade.
Okay.
You understand? They just had to push me to the next grade because I was old for my grade, firstly. And also, they just didn't want to deal with a case like me.
Did you like school, though, when you were there?
I actually did.
You did?
I had good friends at school.
Okay.
I had good friends. I had good friends at school and I had good teachers. Some of the teachers.
They could probably see your situation and want to help you.
Yeah. I would push myself to go back again. Stay weeks, months, still go back. But they wouldn't let me sit. They would push me to the next grade and stuff like that.
So when your sister leaves, she's in 5th grade.
Yeah.
You're in 3rd grade.
Yeah.
What transpired with her? Because you said the alternative was boys, alcohol.
Yeah, she just was rebellious.
And so young.
Yeah. She was just rebellious.
Following your parents' example, basically.
I cannot explain it because even her friends would try to talk to her, like to calm her down, like, the speed she was
Growing up?
It was too fast, and then she was making all the wrong decisions. But she was not listening. She just wouldn't listen. The alcohol was always there.
Okay.
In my father's family, alcohol was always there.
Okay.
That's basically what they've always been doing. That's what they do even to this day. They're like heavy drinkers. Then obviously they lost their firstborn son.
So the oldest was a boy?
Yes.
And then you two?
Then my sister and then myself. Okay, my younger sister, then there was a boy. There was a girl, and then there was a boy.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
So total there was 8?
8, yes.
You're number 3?
Yes.
Okay, how many are still alive as of today?
We are 4.
There's 4 of you that are still alive.
We are 4 now.
Let's go back to 6th grade, and now you're like, I'm going to follow my sister.
I'm leaving school.
So you stay out for months?
For months, I stay out of school.
Did anyone come looking for you, or?
I would go to a friend's house and stay. Like I was always hopping,
So you weren't at home?
No, not at home much. I was always wandering in the streets. If there's a friend that likes me so much, and they also schedule school, we're together.
Okay.
We're supposed to just stay together and be out of school.
6th grade, you're probably
now I'm
13 because you're older.
Yes.
So 13, 14.
Yeah, 14.
Yeah.
Yeah, 14.
So what are you getting up to when you're out and about with your friends?
We'll just sit at the house. Like maybe we'll just go hide out somewhere, and to be away from people. We'll come up with tricks. We'll stay away, from everybody, and they just sit at a place together. And when the time for schools to come out, then we wear uniform and we walk out the streets like we went to school and we didn't go to school.
Wow.
And most of the friends that I had, they were smoking and stuff like that. I do not know how I did not smoke. I never smoked.
Did you ever try it? Nothing.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know how I never smoked.
Wow.
My sister was into dacha. They'll smoke, all of those things. But I don't know how it would skip me. It was like, okay, it's there, it's around me. But I didn't have that desire, to do it. And
that's amazing.
I do not know. I cannot tell you how. And then to this day, my friends that I had then, like, were hooked into smoking and stuff like that because their boyfriends were smoking and stuff. When you have older people around you, you're always tagging along. You don't know where you belong, but I was that type of a child. Yeah, I was like always like that, finding myself following people. I don't know where I belong, but I'm looking. I just want to fit in somewhere. That's how much I wanted their attention, because I knew even if anything happened to me in the streets, I can't go to my parents and say this happened. There's nothing they're going to do, because let's go back to when I was 13 now. I was at a friend's house. So I used to go with a friend to school because we were in the same school. Yeah. So we would go to school together. She was good at school. She had good grades and stuff like that I'll stay by her.
Okay.
And she had a brother. The brother was like, he was not all of there, a bit mental disturbed or something. He was just quiet, but just roaming around the house and stuff like that. And then one night we were sleeping, and then I found him. He was on top of me in the night. Obviously, I went, and the next day I told my parents what had happened.
Were you able to get him off?
Yes. I was shocked. Who's this in the dark on top of me? It was not safe there.
But your friend was there.
Yeah, she was sleeping. When we woke up, I had to tell him what had happened. She said she didn't hear anything. She didn't see anything.
Did he get off?
Yeah, he got off and he ran because he was staying at the back.
Did she tell her parents?
So her mother passed away, and then she was like staying in the house, raising her 2 younger brothers as well.
So you tell your parents?
I tell my parents. Obviously, they go to the police station. They open a case and stuff like that. They did go to jail, and obviously after some time he came out.
So he did go to jail?
No, he did.
So this might be personal, but was it a rape or was it like a molestation where he was just trying to touch you?
Yeah, he was trying to, he was
going that way?
Yes, he was going that way.
So your parents did open a case?
Yeah, no, they did open the case, and then obviously court were working, like you have those child
protective services.
Yeah, they would ask you questions and stuff like that. Yeah, it was that process. Yeah.
How was that whole situation for you? I know how you are now, and I know you're so much deeper than you say. Like things affect you so much deeper, but you always portray like, oh no, this happened, it's fine, we'll just get through it. But I know you're a thinker and you feel very deeply, but I didn't know you as a child. Like, how did you process that?
What you said like then was, okay, it happened, then move on. Without realizing, subconsciously, it had affected me, because now my self-esteem, my self-image had changed. Now, everyone in the community knows what had happened, So this is how I view myself.
As a victim.
Yeah. This is how I view myself, Why wasn't I protected? Why wasn't I protected? It was not there. I'm like, it could have happened even at home, with the level of openness that was happening because anyone was coming in and out. How it never happened, I do not know.
Yeah.
I do not know.
Obviously the grace of God.
Yeah. So for me, it was like, okay, now my friends were very much promiscuous, like at a very young age. When I was not doing so well at school, we kind of like parted, disconnected from them. When I was in grade 6, my mother took us. She was running away from my father because obviously, remember, there's alcohol, weekend in, weekend out. So he was very physically abusive, towards her and stuff like that. So this one time, I'm like, okay, I'm going to run away. I'm running away from all of this. And then I packed my bag. Then I hid it. But then my mother found the bag. And then she's like, I know what you want to do. And then she packed her bags. She took her bags as well. And then she took us.
She said, if you're leaving, I'm leaving. We're all leaving.
We're all leaving, all of us.
Where did you go?
So there was a lady, not far, like let's say Naturena.
Okay.
Yeah, so she was my mom's friend. How they knew each other, I didn't know. But that's where we went. We ran to that place and we stayed there for months. That's how I was also out of school for that long.
Did your dad come looking for you?
Yeah, he came. Yeah, for some reason he came. She would run, but then she would go back.
Yeah, it's a cycle.
She would run, but then she would go back. Then he would come and fetch us and then go back to the house again.
When Cheryl was in here talking her testimony as well, she mentioned the same thing with her parents. Like every time her mom would leave, and then come back, and then they even got divorced twice, and then came back and remarried and all this. Yeah, I think she was doing the same thing before she got saved, and it's a cycle. It's a cycle that passes through generations that you want to leave, but you don't know how. You can't break free.
Yeah. So
then, your mom, the same situation.
He would beat it, like say Saturday, he would beat it up. By Sunday, she's the one screaming, "No, he's my man. He's my husband." Like
sticking up for him
against people that are trying to protect her. You understand? So it was that type of situation.
Yeah.
But then towards the end of 2004, I go to school. The usual happens. They push me to the next grade. But then in January of 2005, 18, was on a Wednesday, the school's just opened. A neighbor of mine invites me to church. She's like, Busi, we need to go to church. And I'm like, okay, nothing has changed in my house. Everything's still the same. You know? And then we go to church that Wednesday, the Potter's house, obviously. She was never a Potter's house member. But that day she said, we're going to church. We're going to the Potter's house.
She wanted you to go with her.
Yeah, we go together. I don't remember what Pastor Jeff was preaching about. I didn't know English. Remember?
I want to stop here. I don't want to get too ahead. But for our listeners, let's share the fact that you never spoke English until you came to church. Mm-mm. During this time that you were hiding out from school, I do know that you would hide in the church sometimes because you did tell me that.
Yes. My friends and I would bunk school, then we'd go to the Potter's house. So the Eden Park Church now, where it's located, it wasn't there originally. So it was on the other side.
Okay.
So there was a tent there. I remember the first time I went there, I was probably 11, 12.
Okay.
Still not at school. Everyone is at school. I'm not at school. I go to school when I want to go to school or remember to go to school. No one's going to take me to school. Yeah. Then I go to the church. I don't know what made me go to the church. Then I sit. There were a bunch of guys because the tent, so there were security guys, like they watch the church during the day, you watch the church at night. Okay. So I was there. No one's asking me a question. They make me tea. They give me cookies.
And you just sit there.
And I sit there and then I eat and I drink my tea. It's cold. I'm sitting with them. They're having their own conversation. I'm just sitting there. They're not speaking my language. I remember very well, brother Jan, he speaks Bedi. So obviously with other guys, they were speaking that language and I didn't know that language. Both my parents speak proper Xhosa. Mm. So we're speaking Xhosa. I know Xhosa. That's the language that I speak.
And was your schooling in that language as well?
No. I went to a Zulu school, yeah.
I was going to say, because you speak beautiful Zulu.
Yes.
So your home language is
Xhosa.
And then your schooling was all in
Zulu. Yes.
Okay.
No English.
No English.
I do not know English. I cannot speak English. Yeah, so I'm sitting there. I do not know why I went to go drink cold tea there. And then I left and went back.
How many times would you do this? Just every now and then?
Yeah, every now and then. Yeah. And then when the church had moved to the other side, it was still a tent. They hadn't built anything yet. I remember Pastor Lubabalo was still a security guard there during the day. My friends and I would bunk school. We would go there. We go in, we sleep under the chairs. Because you see the tents, it's hot. So they open holes. You can see when the school children are passing by. Then you know, okay, it's time. We can start joining them.
Wow. So you would just go and sleep during the day? Yeah. Probably because you didn't sleep at night.
Yeah. We just sit there quiet. He wouldn't bother us and, ask us, why didn't you school and stuff like that. Shem, him, he would just look at us. Then when it's time, we just go out to join the other people,
Did you ever come to any services during this time? So you would only just come during the day?
Yeah. When I'm doing all the wrong things, I'll be there.
Do you think maybe now looking back, because you felt like it was a safe place?
It's one of those things like, how do you explain that?
Yeah.
I don't know.
2005. What grade are you entering in?
7.
You're entering 7th grade, just started.
Yes.
School's just opened.
Yes.
And your friend says, let's go to church. Up until then, had you ever gone to any church?
Yes, my parents were church hoppers.
Church hoppers?
Yes, they've been to a lot of church. Up until the ZCC Church, Zion Church, the 12 Apostolic Church. Yeah.
So what was the home life, religion? Because obviously they were church hoppers. So that always leads to chaos, spiritual chaos.
Yeah.
When you're going from church to church to church, they all believe different things. They all have their own mixture of tradition.
Yeah.
So how did that play into your home life as far as the moral structure of the home? Obviously, there's the drinking and the abuse and the fighting. Did you go occasionally, or were your parents trying to, you knew who Jesus was, or how was
There was no Jesus there. We were just going to church.
Okay.
Because they still did their traditional things. They would consult sangomas. They would also do umkomboti for the people that are thirsty.
The ancestor worship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They still did all the traditional things, even though they went to church. They believe that you can go to church, but you don't have to throw away your culture. But still, nothing changed. They were drinking. There's everything. Nothing changed. For me, growing up in that situation, my desperation was always attention, like when you're neglected so much.
Yes.
The abandonment. You're a child. You don't know much. You need your parents to be there. Not just physically. They'll tell you, there's food there on the table. That's enough. You need more than that.
Nurturing.
Yes, that the protection, that covering. Because even if you're in the streets, anything happens, you can't run to your father because he's known as the drunkard there in the street. He can't defend you,
So then when you finally do come, let's just talk about your first service there.
Oh, I do not know English. I remember I was just sitting there. Pastor Jeff there was speaking English. I've never heard that English. It was it was so fast. I don't know what he was saying, but I know that I just lifted my hand and then I prayed.
Why did you lift your hand if you don't know?
They said lift your hand. Then I lifted my hand and then I went there. I don't know what the sermon was about. And then the lady also was encouraging me to lift up my hand.
Did your friend also?
Yeah, so we went together. But all the other services come, I lift up my hand again.
Did you decide to just come all the time?
Yes, I never stopped from the day.
So from that day, you're a little girl who does not understand English.
I don't know anything.
You are going by yourself. What made you, if you don't understand what you're doing, what was the draw to make you keep coming back?
The people.
Okay.
I was not used to that kind of attention. People wanting you around them so much.
Wow.
I didn't know English. Then I couldn't say a sentence. Even when I got to a point of baptism, the only thing I could say is, my name is Busiswa. That's all.
Yeah.
That's all. Then I got baptized. I couldn't even speak to say what God is. No, nothing. Those people, they made sure.
Yeah.
My first service, when I was there was a guy, younger, the one that was shot there.
Yeah.
He comes up to me. Then there was another lady, Rose. So she had come in a week before me.
Okay.
So I'd come in the week after. So that day when I came in, then he comes to me like, hi, I want to introduce you to this lady. She's new here. That's how it started. Now I have a friend, someone who's new, just like me.
And this is Rose.
This is Rose.
Okay.
And then from there, they would follow up. They'll make sure they're there by my door and to come collect me for church. They say, we have outreach. I don't know what's outreach. They say, we have impact team. I'm following everything they say is there. I'm going there.
Yeah.
I have no idea. I have no clue. I'm not understanding. I don't understand everything that's happening, but I'm going there. I made sure I'm there. And they were always there. They'll tell me more about the church. This is what's happening. Like in a language I can understand, obviously. Yes. So I can understand what's happening around me and stuff like that. And Maureen and Katie and Carrie, they'll just speak, I'll just smile. I don't know what to say. I would just smile. Like, if I just said hi, that's a big thing for me. How are you? That's all. But would have files, to understand what they were reading. Rose would create files for us to learn, English, to learn the songs. What are they singing?
Wow.
And another friend of mine that we grew up together, from grade 3. And she also came to church. We all got baptized together. Then there were the Caesars, people that made sure you are there. They took care of you. Because in my situation, growing up, I knew I just ran away a lot, away to friends' houses. So when I was at church, now I was running, I was getting to go to safe places.
Yeah.
Because now I've got friends that are saved. Their homes are more stable than mine, and they're loving towards me and stuff like that. I didn't understand it then, but now I'm like, God set up all these people
sure.
to make sure He protected me from so much so that He can put me where He wanted me to be,
It seems like you were learning so much so quickly.
Yeah.
You are literally instantly in a place where there is proper attention, proper love, proper care, families, normalcy.
Yeah.
And now you're learning English, you're learning about the Bible. You're learning
everything.
so much all at once.
Yeah. Even now when I have to think, I don't know what it is, but if I have to think about my childhood, not a lot of good comes up.
Mm-hmm.
It's just these bad pictures that come up.
Yeah.
It's like you want to be a normal kid and just remember those good days about your upbringing, what happened, how are your parents, what did you do, what there was nice, it's not there. I'm not finding it. So I'll be like, was it suppressed or was it just not there? There was a big gap. It was just not there, But then you go to a church, God gives you older people like mothers, sisters, peers, to work this journey with. And it's a different thing, Even when I just started going to church, my mother, sometimes she wouldn't dish up for me. Like, there's no food for you. Or maybe lock the doors. By Wednesdays, if I know I go back home, the doors are locked. She'll be like, no, go back to your pastor's house. Go sleep there.
So she noticed that you were getting the nurturing you weren't getting at home, and she was probably upset.
So it was that shift, like, so much opposition now from home. Why shouldn't it be like, I'm so happy, you are in a safer space.
Than you were on the street.
Yes, yeah. I'll be like getting ready for church. My father will be like, go buy me a beer. It got so bad to a point where like, I'm not doing that. I'm not going to buy a beer. You give me that money, I'll leave it there, throw it in the floor. Then I'll just walk out and go to church.
Wow. Did he ever beat you guys as well?
Yeah, I remember the very same year. It was a lot happening. Because I'm in our church. You remember, this is new for me. I'm intense. I'm like,
yes.
I'm making sure I'm not missing anything. If anything happening, I'm there.
Let me just say, you're still like that, which is very good.
I'm there.
Yeah.
So that was like bothering him. I have no idea why it would bother him, because I'm not out there partying and drinking and stuff like that. Because there were a lot of opportunities for that to happen. Because my friends, that time, it was a normal thing in the neighborhood. Okay, the street bashes, we'll find each other there. Let's go there. If there's parties and stuff like that, we'll find each other there. It was a norm, but having to choose that path and then there will still be opposition, it was like, I didn't understand. But then because of the support that I had at church, it helped me to keep going. So as I'm taking a bath, I'm getting ready to go. I still have a scar. He came, he beat me. He was hitting me with punches. He was punching me.
And you were blocking?
Yeah, blocking. My sisters were crying, weeping, no, trying to intervene.
And that was just because you were going to church?
Yeah, but I still went to church and I fixed myself and I cleaned myself and I went to church,
People that are listening outside of South Africa and probably other parts too, but I've come across so many stories, either on the podcast or somewhere else. The determination of people to continue to go to church after that. Like I've heard so many stories of either food is denied, houses are locked, or physical abuse. They clean themselves up and they go to church.
Yeah, you go.
That is something that is missing in a lot of first world nations, that tenacity and that determination. What's so good, it's worth everything. All of that abuse is worth it because you're going to church. You know you're going to see God. You're going to be with people that love you.
Yeah.
It's kind of convicting. Like, wow, are we really willing to do that? These children have had to face this kind of opposition and we're complaining because people are saying nasty stuff about us. It's not the same. I just think it's so incredible that you and others like you have made it and are so determined despite the opposition from family, friends. It's incredible.
Yeah.
So you learn English?
I learned English. Even at school, if there's reading, there's debates, I was chosen. I fought so much. I'm not the best in that, but it's cool, because obviously it's township schools, the English isn't like when you go to the suburbs.
Yeah.
So they were like, your English. I'm like, it's that constant exposure to English because I go to where people speak English. There's different cultures, but our common language would be English. So we're learning. So it was exciting. I'm just grateful. Because when I would look back, I'm like, God had a plan. He's always had this plan to save me. I didn't know. I didn't understand. It was like, okay, my whole family is broken. Like, Lord, you would pick me. Why? My sisters did come to church. All my sisters have been to church. They didn't stay. They're really, really, really trapped. And I would speak to them and be like, do you see? You're living our parents' life. It's a pattern, But I'm not giving up. You know?
So how old were you when you would say you finally switched to where now church in English is becoming alive for you? Because up until now, you're getting translation, you're just kind of coming along.
Yeah.
There had to have been a certain point. I understand.
Mm-hmm. For me, it was impact teams.
Okay.
When you get to hear people testify, standing there, they're so intense, they're sharing the gospel, talking about Jesus, God did this in my life and what, and understand, okay, this is what this is about.
Ah, nice. Yeah.
My first impact team, I went with the skirt. I'm going, whether I'm wearing a skirt or not, I'm going to my impact team. I remember it was in Newlands. So I met Lloyd and then, because he was our outreach leader, like a group leader then.
Okay.
Yes, I remember him very well. Yeah.
So Newlands,
close to Westin. I think Pastor Mike Sawyer.
Okay.
Yes, that was my first impact team.
You're saved and you're making these stands. Obviously, your life is changing and you did finish school.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden you switched on.
Yeah.
You finished high school late. You were 19, right?
20.
Wow. That's 2 years later than most, but you finished.
Yeah.
When did Chris and Melanie Olsen come? Because you were saved under Pastor Jeff and Maureen Day, and then Chris and Melanie took from them, right?
Yes. I was with Pastor Jeff Day for a year. Then Pastor Chris and Melanie came. Yeah.
They only had the 2 kids at the time.
Yes, it was Christopher and Michaela.
Because Cameron was born.
Cameron was born here. Yeah.
And so the friend I was talking about in the beginning was Melanie Olsen. Yeah, we go way back. She was actually the maid of honor in my wedding, which is special. But she was so excited when we were coming here. She literally ran to me.
Yeah.
After the service, we were announced. And the first words out of her mouth were something to the effect of, oh my gosh, there's this girl. She's from our church, but she married a guy. Now they're in your church. And her name is Busiswa, and you're going to love her.
She was giving me too much credit. I'm not that cool.
You are cool. You are cool. And because she was so excited, I mean, that was a whirlwind for me. I had this name.
Yeah.
It was like, okay, I have one person. I didn't know anybody else from this church. So I had obviously met Lieben and Chanel, but they weren't here.
Yes.
They were in Shuela.
Yes.
Other than that, I don't remember ever meeting anyone. So the only person I knew that I was going to meet when I came here, I had a name, was you. And so I remember when I first saw you and I was like, she's so tiny. I'm sorry, Busi.
I'm bigger now.
But anyway, I don't know if it was because of her or I don't know if it was just because of our personalities as well. And Melanie knew that about me. But we definitely connected. And I was not disappointed at all. I wasn't.
Because of right now, the time we have, I guess, I don't know, if my mind blocking a lot of things. There's a lot of things that happen between my childhood to the point of salvation.
Obviously, we get the point that you had a broken life and your life really started for you when you met Jesus, when you came to the church and you saw what true love is supposed to be, what acceptance is supposed to be, what guidance and nurturing is supposed to be. And you found that in the church, right? Unfortunately, that's a story that's so common.
Yeah.
Someone made the comment, I think it was Pastor Lieben, and it wasn't on the podcast, but I heard him say it somewhere else, that he, like most children coming from those situations, you weren't raised by anyone, you just grew up.
Yeah.
Nobody raises you, you just grow up and you figure it out.
Yeah.
So many things, thankfully, you learn in the church.
Yeah.
But if you don't have that, there's people walking around, they're adults only because time passed, not because somebody made them adults, not because somebody showed them or taught them. It's really sad. It's really sad. So I'm glad for you that it came earlier. Some people don't get saved till they're in their 20s, but you were 14 and you could learn so much. So before we close this out, let's just talk real quick about how you met Jonathan, just your lives till now. So Jonathan was from another church.
Yes.
another one of our churches.
Yes.
Nearby Eden Park.
Yes.
And when that church closed, he transplanted to Eden Park?
Yes.
Okay.
It's either late 2005 or early 2006.
Okay. So he came in when not very long after you got saved.
No. They were a big group, they've been saved, for some time.
So when did you become aware that he was interested?
That was 2010.
Okay.
After Lebu and Mphike's wedding, a group of us were friends. This is what was happening at that time, right? So we had the guys, we had the girls, né? So some of us who thought God had plans for us, like we get married to guys from different fellowships outside Eden Park, like, no, there's no guys for us here, we're into that thing. There's no one. Obviously, God was like, okay, keep saying that, but we're still friends. And then all of a sudden, I don't know, Mphake and Lebu were dating, we were friends. And then right before the wedding, 10 days before the wedding, things just shifted just like that. We're like, oh, okay, we're looking at each other differently now. We're no longer, hi, girlfriend, hi, boyfriend.
Like friends.
That's how we spoke to each other.
Yeah.
Innocently, not knowing. They're just going to switch like that. Fast, quick. He came, obviously, and expressed how he felt. All nervous. He didn't know what to do with himself. But I was like, okay, give me a few days trying to be
coy.
Yeah. Like, oh, just give me a few days. I'll get back to you. But I already knew what I was going to say.
Did you like him already?
Yeah. I couldn't wait that long. Like 2 days, like, yay, yes.
So how long did you guys date?
6
months dating?
No, not even. Maybe we were probably 4 months.
So 4 months dating?
Yeah.
Then proposed. Did you do a proper proposal though?
Yes, we went to a nice restaurant.
Thank you, Lord.
The two of us.
Jonathan
I set up with roses.
Jonathan needs a prize.
The evening. It was so nice. It was a nice chef.
And you said yes.
It was nice. And I said yes.
When did he propose?
December.
And then you guys got married in March
20th.
So that was a good timing.
7 months, because obviously he's been ready. Just a matter of me just finishing my school. And then we're planning with Melanie colors and things and this and this. That phone call came. That phone call, it was the toughest weeks of my life.
So you were 2 weeks outside of getting married, and then that's when they left.
Yeah.
That was quite shocking, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I know from her side, God knows and he directs us, but they were not wanting to leave. They were just needed elsewhere.
Yeah.
I know that she was like, I'm going to stay here forever.
Yeah.
And I will say every missionary that I have ever talked to that has lived in South Africa has said the same thing. Nobody that I know that is still in ministry today has ever made the comment, I want to leave. And everyone is like, I could have died there. I could have lived there forever.
Yeah.
Even with Pastor Bennett, that's the only way he was going to leave.
He was already
going to heaven. Because he loved it so much. Everyone loves it so much.
Yeah.
And now that I'm living here, I understand why. We just had Bob and Sharon Allen here over our last conference.
So
and Sharon made the comment, I know why people love it so much. I can see how they steal your heart. That's what she said.
Wow.
She's used the words
steal your heart.
That's true.
Yeah.
They were only here for 10 days. It's amazing, So, but God knows, and he sorted it out. And now, long story, many chapters later, you're in this church.
Oh, yes.
And I know that if you hadn't come to this church, I wouldn't have had this relationship with you. And I'm so grateful because it
worked out so well.
It just worked out so well. And you guys have been out pastoring before. You have been back. And now your husband just got announced at this last conference that he's going to be evangelizing.
Oh, yes.
So that's super cool.
Yeah.
And so you have how many children? I know I said it a few times.
I have 3 now.
3 children.
Yes, we got 3 children.
So Shekinah, Hannah,
and Josh.
And Joshua.
Yes.
2 girls, and then many years later, a miracle boy.
You just got here.
Oh, you wanted a boy so bad.
Because I just had my miscarriage in 2020. It was taking long. You didn't understand what was happening. We prayed and we prayed. And you were like really serious about this prayer. You were so intense. We're going to go now. We're going to go to Pastor. They need you to pray for them. I remember you took us to Pastor Enitopi.
Yeah.
They need you to pray for them now. They need babies.
He's there as a miracle baby boy.
Yes.
And who knows, maybe there's one more in the future. But
yes. Did I say that? Because I can't say no. For the life of me, people keep asking me and I'm like, I can't say no. I don't find the no.
You don't feel you're done yet. Yeah. No, I agree.
I don't find the no.
I agree. You're young. You're still young.
Yeah.
You have time.
Yeah. But I'm really grateful. My prayer is still for my family to get saved.
Yes.
My parents had passed on. My mother passed on 2008. I was 18. By that time, she had accepted, my path. I prayed with her sinner's prayers many times by then. And then my father passed on when I was pregnant with Hannah. For him, it's unfortunate how he died, because he died coming from a shipping. Some boys stabbed him to death, and they threw him in front of the gate, his house. Some boys, he was current.
Sorry, you said he was coming from the Shabin.
Yeah.
Okay. Basically like a local tavern type thing.
Yes. Apparently they were drinking. He had some back and forth thing going on with them. So these boys obviously followed him when he was going home, and they just left him there.
Did he die there?
He just died there.
Did he ever pray with you before?
Before. Yeah. But the thing is, he didn't stop, living that way. By that time I was already out of the house. He was still living his life, so. Yeah.
You never know, though, right? Those last minutes. I mean, we're not guaranteed extra time, but, God knows the heart. Sometimes people get dominion and deliverance immediately, and sometimes people just struggle so bad letting go. I always am hesitant because I'm not God. I'm never there. Those final moments, we have to always have hope. He knew the truth. If there was even a moment
where he cried out,
where he could cry out to God in that last moment, you just never know. And eternity will tell, but at least know he had every opportunity. You gave him every opportunity, and your mom as well.
And
your mom as well.
Yeah.
So I don't discount those 11th hour confessions. We know God doesn't want anyone to perish.
Yeah.
We know God's desire is for people to be saved.
Yeah.
And who can say in those final moments that they didn't cry out to God for his mercy? So if you were to take a moment and reflect over everything and just give some final thoughts, maybe to another young girl like yourself who thinks there's no hope, I'm just going to live this life, just anything you want to share, what would you say?
Looking back, I would just say to young people, they must glue themselves to the church and find the right people, right influences around them. That's what's going to help them stay in church, because God already has a plan for them. So once he had put them in that place, they need to stay rooted and under the right influence. They don't have to understand everything. I didn't understand everything. I had no clue what was happening. But make sure you show up, no matter what the situation is at home. Whether you're hungry, because there's times I would be there singing, worshiping. I knew that I didn't eat anything, but I'm there with everyone else. Just being under that influence, people that love God so much, that begins to develop something in you. You want that, you crave that. You want that kind of life also, to be that testimony, that not God cares, actually God sees every situation. Maybe you think your situation is different. Not really. Yes, it's unique to you, but many people have gone through so much as well. For you to be able to look back and say, look what the Lord has done. Don't give up. Just keep going. Just stay rooted.
Yeah.
Just showing up into the house of God. That's what has kept me.
Definitely.
And having people that really care about me. I didn't understand that. My friends, they used to use me for their own benefits. When I go to church and people are like, they want me, they want me to show up. If I don't show up, the next day they are there. Why didn't we see you? Why aren't you there? You have a family here in the church. No matter what, just keep going.
That's great. And I think as evidenced by how God's used your life, just from what I know, I think there's a thread that has been woven through every single one of these testimonies so far. And we're at so this is episode 15.
Yeah.
Every single one so far, there's been this thread woven through, and it comes down to people. Why did you say people?
People, yeah.
Who helped you? People. How did you make it? People. I think as a Christian in church, we can so often underestimate our importance. Not because we're important, but because our importance in keeping new people rooted, like what you said. If it wasn't for people reaching out and guiding and directing and really just loving, we're just being Christian.
Yeah.
But it's amazing how many people I've talked to talk about this love. Like, man, if it wasn't for people, if it wasn't for people, if it wasn't for people, that's what we're called to do.
Yeah.
So I think that's amazing.
Yeah.
And we definitely want to end right there. First of all, I want to say thank you again.
Thank you for having me.
I appreciate it so much, Busi. I also want to say thank you to each and every one of you listening. Without a listener, the story can't be heard. If you enjoyed this episode or any of our previous episodes, please share it with someone, a coworker, a family member, saved, unsaved, anyone you think would appreciate this or could be transformed by this. Please share it. Don't underestimate the power of a transformed life. Lastly, as always, if you are not a Christian or were but have turned away and you want this for yourself, John 3:16 says God sent his only son, Jesus, to pay the price for our sin. Acknowledge your sin, recognize Jesus is the one that paid on the cross for that sin, and then ask him to forgive you. And that is just the beginning of your transformed life. Until next time, this is Rachel Heimberg, and you've been listening to Not the Same.